说呢的解马了解。
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GMologist Presents. So, I guess this is a catch-up show. Next week, I will release a prep for North Texas RPG Con show. North Texas RPG Con. You'll hear in the outro the wonderful music from TJ Drennan, who also does the intro music. You'll hear that little ditty, and that is next week, the 6th to the 9th of June. Yeah, it's quickly upon us here, Friday, May 31st. I can't believe it's already the end of May. So, today's show, it's like I said, it's a catch up, but I'm also going to kind of pose a question or a dilemma and talk about dual one-to-one versus solo play. And this is inspired by the recent acquisition that Amy won, Alone Against the Static. She won this as like best role player in the game that we played. So, and I wasn't running the game, so I recused myself from the voting. And then she wanted to run it and play it, and I'm like, well, let's both run it separately and then see how it goes. And she's like, no, I'd rather like run it together, especially because in Alone Against the Static, you can choose from two players of a couple, Alex or Charlie. And also I have Alone Against the Frost, Alone Against the Tide. I've done Alone Against the Flames and in the back catalog somewhere. And there's Alone Against the Dark, which I have as a PDF from a bundle of holding. So these are Call of Cthulhu solo adventures that are kind of like a choose your own adventure. So then, since Amy wanted to do it together, then I did find this product, Does Love Forgive, that I had in my collection, and it's sort of one-on-one Call of Cthulhu scenarios. And we played the first one that comes out next week on our YouTube. So look for that. So we decided to play that. And then I'm like, well, she liked her character, Andy Holmes, former orphan, now private investigator in Chicago, so 1929 Chicago. So maybe a late 1920s, early 30s Depression era sort of game. We haven't jumped into the 1-1-1 play that we've done with Keiko Kane, and maybe because that's become like a 1v2. Well, we have another player who plays, and other players come in with Keiko Kane. And I guess my thing is, like, I was like, oh man, the staying power of an investigator. Now, for the one-on-one scenarios that are actually published, right, that kind of works. There's some danger, but it's not as dangerous as trying to run or adapt, because there's only two in that book, and they're not really related, to adapt those games to, adapt other scenarios to solo play. But then I hit on something, and maybe we can make Amy's character, Andy Holmes, a pulp hero. And she's kind of looked through the Pulp Hero book and chosen Egghead, so maybe I'll adapt him to running Pulp Hero. There's an old previous edition kind of double collection set of scenarios where, since you're in Chicago and you're a private investigator, there's definitely, it's outlined or set up in Love You to Death, the scenario that we played out in the book Does Love Forgive, that you have ties or associations with the Chicago mob. So there's King of Chicago, which also tackles that. So I might run that. I actually ran that a long time ago live. And then there's another cool adventure called Secret of Marseille. So I can see a trip to France for our intrepid private investigator. If I make him a pulp hero, maybe he'll have some more staying power in a scenario that's designed for multiple investigators, but then run as a pulp hero. So I'll let you know how that goes. And then we'll also probably going to run Alone Against the Static together, or we'll both make decisions in the choose your own adventure format. And I probably will put that on YouTube, but I will probably give my thoughts on how that went here. I think Does Love Forgive went really well. There was no mythos really involved. I don't want to spoil it too much because you'll have to watch the YouTube. but no sanity checks, which was curious. So I want to jump into that and see how that goes. And definitely the other scenario in Does Love Forgive does deal with the mythos, and obviously a scenario for multiple investigators, generally speaking, does deal with mythos, Yog-Sothory, and you will have to make those prevalent. Well, maybe it depends on the scenario, but sanity checks as you go through. So hopefully we'll get to do that. So those are my thoughts on solo versus dual play. I've been kind of toying with the idea I might do some solo play myself. The other option is Cthulhu Confidential, which Amy and I have run. It was a free RPG day offering something yards from shore, red cable something, where Amy played an English book dealer in antiquities and book dealer, and that kind of turned out to be pretty cool. And Cthulhu Confidential uses sort of a modified Gumshoe Trail of Cthulhu system, and I don't know. I think you can die or get really messed up in that game, but Amy did really well. We didn't. This was before the YouTube channel. I think it was like a year ago, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. Maybe we'll revisit that character. She really enjoyed that book dealer, and I have other scenarios to involve that character. But there's scenarios in the Cthulhu Confidential book where you can play other investigators in different locales, both in the UK and in the United States. So in different cities too. I think there's LA, a DC, a New York, and then the London. So that should be pretty cool. Maybe we'll try that or revisit that. Run it on the YouTube. It does have like these cards that I'd have to print out because you kind of use like cards as like a to give complications or problems or something like that. So it's a little different type of format, and you roll 1d6. If you need to roll a dice, you always find clues. It's Trail of Cthulhu Gumshoe system, and then when you want to do something like fight or run or something that would have a consequence of something bad befalling, then you roll a d6 and add a certain number of points that you have collected. So I really enjoyed playing Trail of Cthulhu in a weekend with good friends a few months ago. So it'd be nice to revisit Cthulhu Confidential. So that's another option. But I think Amy and I are going to engage in some one-on-one Call of Cthulhu or Trail of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Confidential scenarios, and it should be pretty fun. So looking forward to that. Now I will switch gears and tell you or update you on what's been going on in the Geomologist game world. So stay tuned. Be right back. I feel like I've been missing games, or games have been missing. I have been playing on the weekend, usually in something that Kevin Madison has been running. I played in, I think, our ongoing Traveler game. I made a session of that. I know I was out for ChupacabraCon, but I made a session of a Warhammer fantasy game that he runs, set in Salzamund or Nordland, and that was pretty cool. I like how that is going, involving Skaven. Ha ha ha. And then also played in a charity game that he ran of War Stories, which is a World War II set of scenarios or war game that uses the Mutineer Zero engine, which I really enjoy a lot. So I played in those, and then we did play some games. I know we got in a Warhammer fantasy game, and we're continuing the Horned Rat. We had taken a break for Star Wars Day before that and played the beginning of Onslaught at Arda 1, Arda 4, I don't know, Arda something. What does it say? If I can read it, I cannot read it. I see friends like these. Onslaught on Arda 1. Yep. And then we played Warhammer Fantasy, and the heroes traveled back to Middenheim and tied up a loose end, did some investigation, and then also got their next missive or job for the Graph is to go to this rampart or redoubt run by a rival family, and there's some politicking involved. They had previously actually run into a group of raiders in Middenland and kind of paid them off, turned them to their side, so they're supposed to meet them in a few days, and we'll probably pick that up. But I don't think we're playing until, because of North Texas RPG Con. I have a work event this Thursday, so I'm going to miss 2 weeks with the home group. And when we pick up, I think today was scheduled Warhammer. Next week we're scheduled Bloodlords. So then the following week from that, I think that's the 13th of June, is when we will pick up with Warhammer Fantasy again. If my players will still have me for missing 2 weeks, I don't know. Maybe they'll fall apart. Who knows? Maybe the group will fall apart. No, we can't. My friend Jeff just bought a big table. At least we'll be playing Bloodlords, which is actually really fun as well. So we played a session of Bloodlords, and we did the Murder House. We're playing through Graveclaw. That's the name of the second book. We're in the second book of the Bloodlords saga, which is 6 books. Most of the adventure paths now for Paizo have been 3 or 4 books. This was, I think, was the last 6-book one that I know of, and I know they're for Starfinder. I don't know. They're doing their mecha story path, story arc, and that might be a 6-book one. But even the Starfighter ones have been shorter adventure paths. So we are running Bloodlords, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed what the characters did, using sort of deceit and duplicity to isolate sort of the minions of the Hag, Iron Tavia, and they kind of isolated them and picked them off. It was really fun, using disguise and invisibility and sneaking in. I really enjoyed that style of play instead of just kicking down doors, because sometimes it's fun. I mean, ultimately they defeated the foes, and then they found Iron Tavia's inner sanctum, which was sort of this almost a demi plane of shadow, and that was a good fight that lasted a few rounds, and she nearly took someone down. The best was when someone tried to use the same tactic that they used against her daughter, a changeling witch, when they overturned this cauldron, and then the player who tried to overturn the cauldron couldn't do it. So Iron Tavia picked him up and stuffed him in the boiling water, and he was just drowning and taking damage until the other characters rallied to save him. And he managed to, if she was getting overrun and overwhelmed by being attacked by multiple foes and multiple debuffs, so like the party, unbeknownst to them initially, they're like a group of debuffers, right? They have a witch who does hexes and the like, and then there's the monk can make someone clumsy with their style. The swashbuckling skeleton can detract from their wisdom, and the all the while the investigator is looking and then analyzing the best way, looking for weaknesses and the like. So it's a really good party. There was like a couple other minions with Iron Tavia, but the witch was able to scorch them without problem, even though the witch was like entrapped in this like finger cage. It's like, well, it's not doing anything to me, so I'll just sit here and blast away. So probably a bad tactic on my part. Maybe I should have had the cage do damage while the witch was in there, but it did not specify in the adventure, and I didn't really think of it at the time. I thought a very curious design. So the characters, earlier in the adventure, they were able to get a buff that would last for a year, like a ritual that their patron gave them, a Berlin Hallow something, or I don't remember what her name is, but she's a halfling necromancer who's always full of happiness and joy, but is pretty vicious. Actually, there's a lot of hints that she is sort of a sociopath. In any case, she did complete this ritual on the living player characters that would last for a year that would let them get healed by negative energy. And then, I mean, this had to be intentional. So let me know, especially like Joe Richter, if you still listen to the podcast, right? Since you are familiar with Pathfinder and Paizo and their design. So then later on in the scenario, so all the characters are healed by negative energy now. Later in this scenario, they were attacked by shadows, which do negative energy damage. So basically, like the shadows just healed them while they were attacking them, and I was like, huh. So then I was like, well, why even finish running these encounters if these players will just beat these guys up while they heal them? So that's kind of what I did. I just kind of hand like, there's no way they can hurt you. In fact, they heal you. So I don't know if you feel that was intentional, and then if the player characters, if the players who did not have their player characters go through this ritual did not do it, then they would be punished in a way by being able to be damaged by this creature that did negative energy damage. So they defeated Iron Tavia, her shadows, her minions, including a Shadow Drake. Although the Shadow Drake didn't breathe negative energy, it breathed cold damage, which was interesting. And then the house kind of absorbed Iron Tavia and attacked him, and they had to escape the house. And at least when it was pretty fun little skill challenge for them. They had to run out of there, neutralize the acid, run up the stairs that was trying to swallow them, and then dodge the mouths, multiple mouths in the main room before diving out through the door or the window. And then, it was pretty cool. I also liked the fact that there was a house spirit that was kind of like had been coerced to help Iron Tavia and her minions, and they kind of befriended it. I thought this was a great bit of diplomacy. So now they have a house spirit that has got kicked out of its house, of the murder house, and now it's houseless. So they just recruited it to be the house spirit for their house. So I really have enjoyed Bloodlords. It's been really fun. So the other two games that I guess that I run regular are Twilight 2000 and Traveler. And see, it seems like maybe that's what I feel. I feel like our Wednesday game, Abomination Vaults and Kingmaker, usually Pathfinder, has not made for various reasons, work related for me, usually, or people traveling. A couple of the players have been traveling. So actually, out of the 5 players in those both groups, at least 3 of them have been traveling, and then I have had work related stuff. So anyway, however, I'll talk about Twilight 2000 first, and we'll have a special guest here come and tell you a little bit about what was happening.
Hello, Mr. GMologist. This is Cassia. I wanted to let you know that I did not lose your invitation in the mail. When I got back from calling you and I was at locker, I turned around and Ren proposed to me. It was so sweet. I was so excited. And he told me we should marry immediately because he has waited almost 5 or 6 years to ask me that question. And we should have already been married long time. So Adam married us and Andra was there. And it was very sweet and it was very quiet. And we had our ceremony while they had big bonfire. It was lots of fun. I guess. I don't know how I felt about having bonfire, but that's okay. I was getting married. That's more important that I get to call Florian my husband. So now I am officially Kasia Filipovich. And as a thank you, I am sending you a little token of our appreciation. It is a little medal of the Black Madonna, the Lady of Czestochowa, and the prayer card. It is our way of saying thank you. And now I am going to go be with my husband on the boat ride. We think it will take a few days, maybe a little longer, and we will land in the port. And when that happens, I will call Dmitri. I can't wait to tell Dmitri that I have a husband. Oh, I've waited a long time. You know, at this moment, it's been 11 years that I have been waiting for Florian to ask me that question. Since the first day he winked at me. And I know he did not have something in his eye. He always says that, but I know that was not true. Anyways, I talk to you soon.
So that was Amy as Kasha Filipovich, who is now in the fiction married to an NPC. And this happened in the aftermath of the ruins of Warsaw after the Free Krakow coalition with their allies defeated the Black Baron. And there's a big bonfire on the Stalin's cupcake. I can think it's a Ministry of Technology building or something like that. I think it's still there in Warsaw. And in the fiction, the Twilight 2000 fiction, it was bombed repeatedly during the bombing of Warsaw, and the ruin had been invested by this bad guy warlord named the Black Baron. He's gone now. It was cool that Ronson and I think Rupert went in and recovered the body, showed it to everyone that he was indeed dead, which means a lot of the conscripts kind of took off and all that. Then they traveled about 400 or so kilometers back to Krakow downriver in a couple of columns. The first, like a vanguard, was a day and a half ahead of the 10th Soviet motorized rifle division, who are a lot of horses actually, but do have some APVs now and a howitzer and the like, and there's a torpedo boat and the Vistula Queen, and yeah, they got a lot. Well, the Vistula Queen is not really with them, but the torpedo boat, I guess it is owned by the Free Krakow Coalition. They have a Hind, a main battle tank, quite a few APCs, and other vehicles. So yeah, it's a big group. As I had mentioned before, we calculated that the Free Krakow Coalition itself is about a company size of 80, and but the motorized rifle division is about 310 people. So I guess that's a battalion. No, yeah, I guess it's a battalion size, maybe. So yeah, it's a big group, which kind of in a way pales. I'm shocked as I was looking through the products, the Twilight 2000 first edition products, and then the fourth edition, the new one. They definitely reduced the size of the militia of Krakow, so it's about 6,000 in the old product and 3,000 or so, which is still substantial in the new product. However, they did recently, because of the actions of the characters, have sort of a purge where some of the members of the Ormo were either killed or forced into labor camp, into the Robotniki, as they were found to be plants of one of the KGB. The KGB is trying to take over the militia and the Ormo, and the player characters stopped that way back in the free city of Krakow adventure, and that was the result. Was this sort of purge? So, but they've lost maybe, I don't know, not I mean 10%, 10 to 15% of their people. So it's still pretty substantial. Although a lot of them really are like engineers, and all the tanks are dug in and are just sort of like a weapons platform, almost like a stationary cannon. So they have a few, like 7 or 8 working tanks now, one more. So we did meet, like I said, and the player characters were able to negotiate going around the city. Some of them went into the city, and Ren and Kasha went with the leader of the Warta, the Palace Guard, or the co-leader of the Palace Guard, named Dmitri. He informed them what had happened, that they had to rescue the Pope from Cilicia, and Cilicia is a neighboring political group to sort of west of Krakow, and they had captured the Pope and had heard that the Black Madonna of Shestashova was in the city of Krakow, which it was not. It was actually the Free Krakow Coalition this whole time. And there's like, we'll give you the Pope if you give us a Black Madonna. Well, now both Black Madonna and the Pope are in Krakow, and Kasha and etc. met with the Pope and Dmitri and figured out what was going on. And we had actually ran the scenario. I ran it last year at BSRCon. It's an online convention, and it was called Operation Hot Potato. And I had some players in Free Krakow Coalition Group B with Dmitri go and rescue the Pope. One of them died actually in breaking out of after they rescued the Pope. Of course, there was a pursuit, and we just kind of did a chase. And one of the characters was who got injured, got shot. Said, "Okay, I'm staying. I won't live. I'm staying here. You don't worry about me. Just get the Pope back." So it was pretty good. It's a good scenario, and showed the sacrifice of the Free Krakow Coalition, what they're willing to do. So they went around. So the APCs that were not known to Krakow went around the city. There was no issues except seeing some refugees and scavengers. They got some of the lowdown on what was going on in the city, and then they made it to the former airport, which of course is bombed, and the runway's messed up, and the buildings are all shattered and looted. But you don't need that for a helicopter. So I don't know, the aviation fuel. That's a good question. There's probably not a lot, and it's probably either burned out or destroyed, or probably full of water, and they'll have to deal with that. But it might be there. There might be some gas. In any case, they did run into a small group of marauders, or that had been. They learned that they're from one of the Soviet groups that has been broken apart, sort of northwest of Krakow, by various groups, some Polish resistance militia, Silesia, and actually a group of Americans that have tried to regroup under a banner there after the fall of the 5th Division, which is a division that a lot of the Americans in the Free Krakow Coalition come from. So that was pretty interesting. There was a firefight there involving Rupert mainly, and some of the Polish militia that were escorting them around the city. Sorry, not Polish militia, Polish Warta, the Palace Guard police that were they're kind of, I guess they're not a division. They're part of the Polish militia, the Ormo of Krakow, but kind of separate in a way. So have different loyalties, let's say. So what's interesting about that fight, they did find out that the Soviets had a radio, and they were talking to someone in Krakow. They were able to piece that together and kind of spoof whoever they were talking to, figure out what frequency they're using, and they learned that there might be some remnants of another KGB faction, because there's always more than one in the city of Krakow. Now they need to track that down or exploit it. So we'll see how that goes. So what was very cool is that we also got to finally, after a lot of missed opportunities in games, got to get to our Traveler game. We're running through Action Aboard the King Richard, which suggests a murder mystery that can happen, and they solved the murder, or they put forth a suspect. We did the sort of presentation to the bridge crew. They presented their evidence. There's still some doubts, but there was this general disdain. I don't know. It worked out really well. It was a lot of role playing, a lot of fun, a lot of information, not a lot of fighting this time around. The last time that we played, there was a fight between the main suspect and the group, and they were able to kind of give him the beat down in a way and stun him and get him into custody. And then there was just a lot of evidence, and the suspect didn't really help themselves, but was more like, you're not going to be able to prosecute me because I'm basically a big deal, and we'll see how that goes. So we did a lot of that. It was really good to get back into Traveler, and I think we really want to move on from this murder mystery. So the next time we pick up, which is actually going to be this next Monday, because we had a makeup game the other day, because the Pathfinder didn't make. There was some people who were out of town. So yeah, we did Traveler, and we'll pick up at the knighting ceremony of the players. They're gonna have they're gonna become the part of the Order of the Claw, um, given like a field nobility. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but they're basically, because of their actions, they're going to be given sort of a noble title, kind of like Order of that you see in like the UK. So they're going to be Order of the Claw or something like that. Order of the Spinwood Marchers. I can't remember. Anyway, we wrote it down somewhere, but it was really fun, and we'll see what happens next. I know what's happening next, but to the players. So and I definitely wanted to lead into, one of the players had a request to kind of, since it's Traveler, to get the ancients and stuff involved, and I've dropped hints here and there. So we'll see how it goes. They have ambitions. We're trying to get rid of that ship mortgage, and they have a plan to do that. So I might montage what's going on for the next few weeks, and then the next quarter of the year, 1105, and then get back into the set of adventures. But there might be one more adventure involving the King Richard. Stay tuned. All right, I think I'm going to end things here. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the GMologist Presents. You can contact me, send me feedback. It's been, I guess, because of the Anchor apocalypse that is inevitable. I guess this is coming out on May 31st. In June, is Anchor going away? Well, Spotify for podcasters going away. Well, at least in the format that we know, where you can record off your phone in little segments. You have to put it all together into one solid offering, I guess. Solid file. That's what I'm doing here using Audacity. But please send me some feedback. You can contact me at gmologist@gmail.com. Send me a voice message there, or text message, email message. You could do the same thing on Discord. I'm on various Discords at Carl Rodriguez. You can find me on a number of them. And I do have a SpeakPipe account that you can leave me a short message on as well. So thank you so much. TJ Drennan does the intro and outro music. My wife Amy does the cover clip art. Thank you so much for listening. Good night and good rolling.
It's an orgy of game and everybody knows your name.
Vortex RPG Con.
The organizer and Satan are one and the same.
Vortex RPG Con.
And we'll all be bumping uglies playing in each other's games.
Vortex RPG Con.
North Texas RPG Con. First weekend in June at the Westin Inn in scenic Irving, Texas. Pack those dice bags and a spare liver.
Vortex RPG Con. Vortex RPG Con. Vortex RPG Con. Vortex RPG Con.